Welcome, intrepid viewers, to another chilling tale brought to you by HorrorWise. Tonight, we journey into the heart of darkness, where the serene beauty of nature masks the malevolent secrets that lie beneath. In the Forgotten Trails, a group of adventurous souls embarks on a hike that will forever change their lives. As they venture deeper into the unknown, they'll confront ancient enigmas and encounter the reclusive locals known as the hillbillies. Join us as we unveil the unsettling events that unfold amidst the shadowy woods. I'm Alara, and together, we shall uncover the harrowing secrets of the Forgotten Trails. In the heart of a mountainous expanse, where time seemed to stand still, a group of adventurous friends gathered to embark on a journey that would forever alter their lives. The air was crisp, laden with the promise of adventure and the allure of the unknown. Tall trees swayed gently in the breeze, casting dappled shadows upon the forest floor. Among the group were Alex, the intrepid leader always seeking new thrills, Emily, his steadfast girlfriend with a love for the outdoors, Mark, the witty and analytical thinker, and Sophie, the free spirit with a penchant for mystery. As they stood at the trailhead, excitement buzzed in the air like an electrifying current. Their plan was simple, to explore the less-traveled paths that wound through the heart of the wilderness. Armed with backpacks, hiking gear, and a shared sense of camaraderie, they set off on the winding trails that promised to lead them to hidden wonders. The forest greeted them with a symphony of rustling leaves and distant bird calls, enveloping them in its embrace. The friends chatted and laughed as they walked, eager to leave the modern world behind and immerse themselves in nature's tranquility. With each step, they ventured deeper into the heart of the mountains, the landscape transforming around them. The well-marked paths gave way to narrower trails, hinting at the path less traveled. Excitement and curiosity mingled in the air as they pushed onward, guided by the sense of adventure that coursed through their veins. But as the sun began its descent toward the horizon, a decision had to be made. Emily consulted the map, her brow furrowing in confusion. "This should be the right trail, but it doesn't look familiar," she admitted, tracing her finger over the lines. Alex exchanged a glance with the others, a shared understanding passing between them. "Well, we didn't come out here for the ordinary, did we?" he quipped, injecting a note of confidence into his voice. With a collective shrug, they continued, the trail leading them into an isolated valley drenched in the fading light of day. The canopy above grew denser, casting long shadows that stretched toward them like eager fingers. As the day waned and the forest's embrace grew tighter, they stumbled upon a sight that gave them pause, an ancient, dilapidated cabin nestled amidst the trees. Its time-worn wood seemed to whisper secrets of days long past, and an eerie hush hung in the air. "What do you think this place is doing all the way out here?" Mark mused aloud, studying the cabin with a mix of curiosity and trepidation. Sophie grinned, her eyes glinting mischievously. "Only one way to find out. Let's take a look inside." Despite a lingering sense of uncertainty, the group's adventurous spirit prevailed. With cautious steps, they approached the cabin, its creaking door beckoning them forward. As they crossed the threshold, the atmosphere shifted, and an unsettling feeling settled upon them, an unspoken reminder that they had entered a realm where the ordinary no longer held sway. The cabin's interior revealed itself like a time capsule frozen in history, a relic of an era long past. Sunlight filtered through dusty windows, casting pale beams across the faded wallpaper and weathered furnishings. The air was thick with a musty scent, a blend of aged wood and forgotten memories. Curiosity danced in their eyes as they explored each room, finding remnants of a life that once thrived within these walls. Crude drawings adorned the walls, depicting scenes that seemed to bridge the gap between reality and fantasy. Symbols etched into the floorboards hinted at a purpose that was lost to time. Emily trailed her fingers along the edge of a decaying wooden table, her gaze fixed on a stack of yellowed papers. "It's like we've stepped back in time," she murmured, her voice carrying a mix of wonder and unease. Mark's analytical mind was already piecing together a puzzle. "Look at these drawings. They seem to tell a story, a tale of something ancient and mysterious." As they pored over the drawings, a shiver traced its way down their spines, a whisper of a presence that seemed to linger just beyond their perception. The woods outside the window seemed to come alive with movement, as if the very trees were watching their every move. The group exchanged uneasy glances, and it was Sophie who spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe we should get out of here. This place gives me the creeps." But before they could heed her warning, a low rumble echoed through the cabin, followed by a chilling wind that swept through the rooms. The drawing seemed to sway on the walls, as if animated by some unseen force. As quickly as it had begun, the disturbance ceased, leaving the group in stunned silence. "What just happened?" Alex demanded, his voice edged with concern. Their gaze shifted toward the windows, where the forest's shadows seemed to have deepened, their edges becoming less distinct. It was as if the very nature of reality had begun to warp, blending the line between the known and the unfathomable. In the face of the inexplicable, curiosity held them in its grip, refusing to release them from the cabin's enigmatic embrace. "We need to find out more about this place," Mark declared, his analytical mind determined to uncover the truth behind the cabin's unsettling aura. But as they prepared to leave, the door swung shut with a force that seemed to defy the laws of physics, sealing them within the cabin's walls. Panic flared within their eyes as they jiggled the handle, but it was futile. The door remained resolute, refusing to yield to their efforts. Their sense of isolation deepened, and Emily's voice trembled as she tried to quell the rising unease. "It's just a door. There has to be an explanation." As the sunlight waned and the cabin's interior grew darker, the group realized they were trapped, cut off from the outside world, enclosed within the cabin's walls. The air grew heavy, and whispers seemed to drift through the stagnant air, as if the cabin itself held the secrets of its own past. Amidst the uncertainty, Emily's gaze met Alex's, and she offered a weak smile, her voice a whisper against the encroaching shadows. "We'll figure this out. We always do." Little did they know, the cabin held more than just secrets within its walls. It held a history that defied explanation, a history that would soon intertwine with their own fates in ways they could never have foreseen. As the cabin's interior embraced them in its haunting grip, the group's unease continued to grow. Their surroundings seemed to pulsate with an unsettling energy, a presence that whispered secrets to those who dared listen. Emily's fingers brushed against the aged wallpaper, and a shiver coursed down her spine as though the very walls held memories of long-forgotten days. Outside, the forest's shadows deepened, casting a veil of darkness that seemed to extend its reach toward the cabin. The daylight waned, and an eerie half-light settled upon the landscape, a landscape that had become alien and unpredictable. Their exploration of the cabin continued, each step unveiling a fragment of the past. Crude drawings depicted scenes that defied comprehension, a merging of human forms and otherworldly beings, evoking a sense of unease that lingered long after their gaze had shifted away. As they ventured deeper into the cabin's heart, a creaking sound echoed from the hallway. Startled, they turned toward the source of the noise, their breath catching in their throats. In the doorway stood a group of locals, clad in tattered clothing, their eyes fixed upon the intruders with a mix of suspicion and hostility. The leader of the group, a weathered man with a wild beard, stepped forward, his voice a low rumble. "What brings you to our home?" His words held a note of warning, a veiled threat that hung in the air. Alex stepped forward, his voice conciliatory. "We didn't mean any harm. We were just exploring." The locals exchanged glances, their eyes conveying a depth of knowledge that lay beyond the surface. Sophie's gaze darted between them, a sense of unease gnawing at her. "They're watching us," she whispered to the others, her words laden with apprehension. As the interaction continued, the group sensed a rift between the visitors and the locals, a divide that seemed impossible to bridge. The locals' odd behavior and enigmatic responses left them with more questions than answers, heightening the air of mystery that surrounded the cabin and its inhabitants. With a tense exchange of words, the locals departed, leaving the group in a state of uncertainty. "Something's not right about this place," Mark observed, his analytical mind grappling with the puzzle before them. As the group attempted to leave the cabin and retrace their steps, they found themselves disoriented. The forest outside seemed to have shifted, the once familiar trails now leading them in bewildering directions. Panic began to take hold, their sense of isolation intensifying as the shadows grew longer and more foreboding. In their quest to escape the cabin's grasp, they uncovered an unsettling truth. The cabin had a history of dark rituals and enigmatic practices. Symbols etched into the floorboards held secrets that connected them to a world of ancient mysteries, a world that defied the boundaries of time. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the forest's shadows stretched forth, the group realized they were trapped not only within the cabin's walls but within the realm of the unknown. They had unwittingly become entwined in a tale that spanned generations, a tale of malevolent forces and the darkness that dwelled within the human soul. With the night's arrival, the air grew thick with a sense of foreboding, and whispers seemed to drift through the cabin like ghostly echoes. As they huddled together, their faces illuminated by flickering candlelight, they knew that their battle for survival had only just begun. The cabin's interior had transformed into a chamber of uncertainty and fear, the walls seemingly closing in as shadows danced across their faces. The group's bond, once forged in friendship and camaraderie, now faced the ultimate test as they grappled with the inexplicable forces that held them captive. As night's darkness settled over the land, the cabin's windows framed a landscape that seemed to have been altered by a malevolent hand. The moon's pale glow cast an eerie pallor upon the surroundings, the woods alive with movement that defied explanation. With the flickering candlelight casting wavering shadows, Mark's analytical mind worked feverishly to decipher the symbols etched into the floor. "These symbols are ancient," he murmured, his voice tinged with a mixture of fascination and dread. "They speak of rituals and something far older than anything we know." Emily's eyes darted between the drawings on the walls and the symbols at their feet. "Whatever happened here, it's tied to these symbols," she mused, a spark of determination igniting within her. "If we can understand them, maybe we can find a way out." But their attempts to decipher the symbols were met with frustration, as the etchings seemed to defy logic and common understanding. As they worked, the cabin's atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, as if the very walls were closing in on them. Their concentration was broken by a resounding crash from outside, the sound of something large and heavy falling. The group exchanged alarmed glances, their instincts screaming at them to retreat. The window revealed a sight that froze their blood, the cabin's surroundings had been transformed into a nightmarish tableau of chaos. From the depths of the woods emerged the locals, their faces obscured by shadows as they approached the cabin with purposeful strides. They carried torches that cast an eerie glow upon their features, revealing eyes that glinted with a malevolent intent. Fear gripped the group as they realized the truth: the locals were not mere bystanders or curious onlookers. They were a part of the malevolent forces that sought to ensnare them within the cabin's sinister grasp. As the locals closed in, a desperate plan formed in the group's collective mind. They had to escape, to fight for their lives against odds that seemed insurmountable. With makeshift weapons in hand, they faced the cabin's door, the very portal that had imprisoned them within its walls. The door creaked open, revealing a forest transformed into a twisted landscape of danger and uncertainty. As they fled, branches seemed to reach out like bony fingers, the ground itself betraying them with treacherous snares. The locals pursued them relentlessly, their eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light that spoke of ancient malevolence. Deadly traps and pitfalls awaited them at every turn, and as the group navigated the treacherous terrain, their bond became their greatest weapon. With each step, fear transformed into resolve, and a determination to survive ignited within their hearts. Sophie's voice rose above the chaos, her words a rallying cry that echoed through the night. "We're not going down without a fight." The forest became a battleground, a realm where survival was measured in heartbeats and every decision could mean life or death. Despite the odds, the group's fight for survival persisted, a testament to the indomitable spirit that burns within the human soul. But as the night wore on, exhaustion and fear threatened to overcome them. The locals seemed inexhaustible, driven by a purpose that transcended mere mortality. One by one, the group began to falter, their strength waning as their pursuers closed in. And then, amidst the chaos and despair, a single gunshot shattered the night's stillness. The sound echoed like a clarion call, and the locals hesitated, their malevolent advance disrupted. In their midst stood a lone figure, a lawman whose arrival had defied explanation. With grim determination, the lawman leveled his weapon at the group, his gaze unreadable as he surveyed the scene. The group's hope was replaced by a chilling realization: the lawman was not there to rescue them. He was there to ensure that their tale of terror would remain forever shrouded in silence. In the face of the lawman's cold gaze, the group's fight for survival seemed to flicker and fade. The forest's shadows seemed to close in around them, their struggle ultimately futile in the face of forces beyond their understanding. As dawn's light began to break over the horizon, the cabin's walls no longer imprisoned them, but the darkness that had taken root in their souls remained. The forest bore witness to a battle that had been waged in vain, a battle that had forever altered the lives of those who had dared to venture into the unknown.